Hi, my name is Arshad Hassan, the Solutions Architect with Cybersecurity. We're at booth 123, left corner of the conference. We are proud to be sponsoring this talk because it makes sense to it. We're a cybersecurity company that focuses on healthcare devices. Right? Not only healthcare devices, we also focus on unmanaged devices, so your surveillance cameras, your HVAC systems, anything that is unmanaged, we're providing you a complete inventory form and filling that gap, right? So again, booth 123, we're proud to be here. Glad you guys are out here. Hope you're having fun, getting educated. Again, booth 123, come out there. Come and pick up a case study that is done by one of our hospital systems for business benefits of Cyber. And if you just want to talk about how our technology works, I'm there to have a conversation with you, or if you just want to talk. I love meeting new people and I love talking. But without further ado, I'd like to give it up to Mike. But before that, I would like to give a shout out to Nicole. Happy birthday.
Hey, happy birthday.
All right.
Morning, I'm Mike Powers, President Director of Intermountain Healthcare. We are based in Utah, large in Utah, 40,000 employees plus. We have 24 hospitals, over 200 clinics. We're adding a couple more every day. We have half a dozen coming on in the future. That puts us at about 4,500 beds, if that's how you're counting your hospitals. We have some pretty significant subsidiaries, with Select Health being our own in-house insurance offering. Telecom Imaging is a new product we've spun up to try and bring down the cost of outpatient imaging nationally. So we're currently expanding in the Utah market with hopes to take that savings nationally. Telecom just does CT and MRI and outpatient. Graphite is an interesting company. It's a lot of software in hospitals. It's new EMRs, new cybersecurity platforms, new state events. How do you the company stop and evaluate all of these different software platforms out there? How do you wade through the several vendors out here trying to make sense of their software offering versus someone else? Well, Graphite is there to give you some benefit of experience, allow you to talk to other hospitals who've implemented some of these things, help you figure out how to implement some of the solutions in your hospital system, maybe where the ROIs would go. Classic Air. You know, fleet of airplanes, as it turns out, Intermountain takes care of a lot of rural patients, lots and lots of rural patients. So how do you get a patient who lives in the desert to a trauma one center where they can receive care they need in a timely fashion? Airplanes is the way to do it. We recently acquired a lot of health partners here in Las Vegas. You'll see that we're a title sponsor for the Raiders. And Salter Health up in Idaho, which brings several more clinics under our umbrella. They're not local. We have several new facilities going up all the time. I think we have 200 construction right now, but just as a point of reference. So, cybersecurity benefit as a business strategy. How do you get a seat at the table? How do you say, hey, we're here with healthcare technology management. We know what the heck is going on. Let us help you out. Well, what I've discovered is a lot of vendors are trying to use cybersecurity as a red herring across the trail. No, you're not allowed to work on this device because cybersecurity. What was that? I can't work on the device because cybersecurity. What does that mean? So there's a lot of intellectual property internal to this network. Companies spend years and years developing it, what to do, how they want to leverage that intellectual property in the next profit, return value to their investors, makes a lot of dividends, and so on. In order to safeguard the intellectual property, they don't like to share. access to that software, because then any old lineman come in and see the secret sauce, figure out how things are done. And if that is true, it will be terrific. I don't think it is. I think that it extends a little bit further. I think that what's good for the goose is good for the gander, with a lot of manufacturer partners for all of us, that they see R&D is leveraging cybersecurity intellectual property. And so they make a very short step to say cybersecurity can be leveraged to control access to service keys. You need service keys to apply patch. Without service keys, then, well, gosh, you're going to have to support their revenue model and call in their field engineer. Suddenly they get to pay a better dividend to their shareholders. They've got better job security. So the idea here is cybersecurity is something that we're seeing in the world as a strategy to take your jobs. I like my job. I would imagine you guys like your jobs a lot. It would be really terrific if no one said, we're going to lock you out of your equipment because cybersecurity. So what do you need to know to be able to go, hey, that's more. Circle back. Hopefully we touch on a couple of those things, and then we can back to this and see. A little over a year ago, there was a woman that presented at a hospital in Germany that was in the process of being ransomware. And the ambulance company said, got it, take her somewhere else, no worries. Kept her in the ambulance, turned the ambulance around, drove 90 minutes to the next closest hospital, but in transit, patients went. Similar thing happens. Woman comes in, goes to the L&D department in Alabama, says, "Inspector Mom, I think the time is here," and the hospital didn't disclose. We're in the middle of a ransomware event. People have been delivering babies for quite some time, but they didn't understand all the complications that this woman was having with her pregnancy, and because she chose that hospital that was in the middle of a ransomware event, when her baby was delivered with complications, they were not able to communicate effectively because the network was shut down and the baby passed. This is currently being litigated. There's a lot of commentary on it, but very recently. Also, some bad reasons, in case anybody has their eyeglasses on, you can read some of this. But the big picture is there are penalties for civil violations. We've got HIPAA. HIPAA is Legal Codes of HIPAA says that you disclose patient data willfully, it's 50 grand per incident. Unknowingly, it can be as low as $100. As high as 50 grand. Oh, so if you have an EKG machine, you pull that little prong out of the bottom of it, and look at it and say, how many patient records are actually on here? And there's 70,000 patient records. 70,000 times what? 50 grand? My hospital can't take that on the chin and keep going. So what do we do? How do we kind of mitigate some of these cybersecurity problems? Well, terrific if we never lost PHI. If it always worked, everybody just did the right thing when nobody was looking. Devices never went missing. Devices weren't on wheels. You couldn't wheel them out. I even saw a study where a person put on a shirt that looked technical, had some logo on it, walked into the unit, picked up a big flat screen TV and walked out the front door. Cybersecurity, right? Sometimes it's as simple as just being big. But we don't want to let patient records get exposed. There is a financial impact, or there can be. So 45 CFR, Code of Federal Regulations, goes HIPAA. Parts 160 through 64 spell out some of the T's and C's around all this. But even better is the Health Information Technology Economic and Health Act, also known as HITECH. HITECH been around for a dozen years or so, but end of last year, there was an amendment signed, and it said, you as a hospital are doing everything you can. You're at least following best practices, and you can prove it. We can waive all those fines from the previous slide. $50,000 a patient, waive it all. Hey, so cybersecurity, why should you do it? Because, well, if we do it right, and something bad happens, we can avoid the fines. And that is a tremendous incentive. What does good look like? How do you align with best practices? What are the best practices that are out there? Okay, touch on it. Why do we have to talk about this today? This is deaths, patient deaths are starting. Expect to see more. Starting to see patient deaths. There's the recent revision of the HITECH Act, and that's allowing you to avoid all those fines. And of course, I like my job. I'll keep it. You guys are all the same boat, so we don't want to have anybody saying you can't patch this device, you can't have a software key because cybersecurity. Smoke and mirror. What's a good program? Intermountain is a good cybersecurity program. So let's say our CEO is watching 60 Minutes, and they talk about latest zero-day vulnerability, a lot of jargon in there. There's a bad flaw in a piece of software or a piece of hardware that's going to compromise, or potentially compromise, patient data at $50,000, patient data to bad actors. Oh my gosh, CEO says that's just, I don't like it. What are we going to do? Calls the CISO on telephone and says, hey, I'm watching 60 Minutes. Have you heard of this? Yeah, I've heard of it. We're trying to wrap our head around it. What do we do? Give me a minute. I'll call you right back. CISO calls clinical engineering. Says, hey, do we have any machines with this piece of software on it? Where do they live? If you have an RTLS program, you're able to trace IPs across network hotspots and find out where devices are, whether they're wired or wireless. You know where it is. If you did your homework, you're procuring the device and ask for a manufacturer's disclosure statement on medical device security. The 2019 version of that, just 3 years ago, specifically calls for a software bill of materials. Oh my God, software bill of materials, that's something. What is that? Well, if you have a bill of lading and any kind of thing that comes across your loaded up, if you have listed ingredients on box Cheerios, there are a bill of materials. So in medical equipment, we can have a software bill of materials, all computers. So that should tell us what software is in our device. So let's take all that information, when we purchase it, when we go back after the fact and we say, hey, Mr. Vendor, you sold us a widget. What's in it? Yeah, please have this document if you guys have it available, publicly available. Record all these unique identities, software components, in your CMMS. Call your people in IT and say, our CMMS is rubbish. We don't like it, we can't find heads, tails in it. If you guys got a configuration management database, CMDB, IT says, heck yeah, we got 3 of them. Well, we only need 1, but can we document some of these software entities, either in our CMMS and our CMDB. Can we have a database that tells us what's in our computer? Is it Windows 7? Is it Windows 10, 11? Is it Adobe Acrobat 11.6? Is it Java 3.2? Is it anything with a disclosed vulnerability? Well, if I know what's in it and I know where it is, and I've got a friend in IT, what I can do is when that phone call comes, Chief of Information Security Officer, hey, Mike, we got any of these? I know it's 8 o'clock on Sunday. We got any? What about that time? Go. Yep, we got 6 of them. On the 5th floor of LDS Hospital, downtown, on the East Wing. Network switch, 4245, is what all the information going to this device passes through. Let's hop in our network traffic controls interface. And let's turn it off. Let's say, oh my gosh, the disclosed thing is port 104 is a problem. Let's just close communications on port 1. Well, all of that can happen in 15 minutes. 60 minutes isn't even done. Phone call's made, you can look it up, you can call your friend in IT, turn off the network switch, they can tell you they did it, you can call CISO back, you can call the CEO. 15 minutes. That's cool. That's keeping your patient safe. That's also avoiding death, destruction, pestilence, and violence. So, how do you get there? Well, there's some stuff on the pre-procurement side. You can ask for some of these documents. There's some stuff with, gosh, you just gotta know what you got. Maybe there's stuff that you procured a decade, 2 decades, long time ago. Maybe you know what's in all your devices. I recently asked a vendor, what's in all of our devices? He gave me a list of operating systems that was 22 operating systems long. Not all of them are supported today. And what do we do with it? How do you mitigate this risk? So this is the first step. Know what you got, know where it is, be able to control network traffic. So, talked on this a little bit. What is a configuration management database? In the IT world, pardon me if I'm preaching to the choir, but in the IT world, there's a process management framework, ITIL. You can be certified to it. There's steps, like 1 for 10. The configuration management database is an ITIL term that allows IT department to know, well, gosh, when we reimage your laptop, what all kinds of junk we put in there. This is the 10 standard pieces of software you get. Versus a clinical engineering CMMS, computerized maintenance management system. Terrific. You can put all kinds of stuff in there. If you go talk to some wonderful vendors out here that got extra fields, extra windows, customer defined fields, but at its basic core, CMMS is not a CMDA. They're with databases, slightly different users, slightly different design. But they can talk on the back end. You can actually have fields from the CMDB mapped over the fields in your CMMS. Hey, asset 13845 is still asset 13845. And it's a database. Database can be mapped onto it. So these are terms. So here, if you reach out to your IT friends and you start asking some of these questions, they're going to talk about source of truth. That's their commonly held access to your CMDB, where they think is on our network. They're much the same regional commission wants you to have a list of all your medical licenses. You want to have a list of all of your network. What if you don't have a list of them? We can go back to patients, fines. Yep, We'll need to deal with that. Further down the rabbit hole of what's good look like. How do you avoid that $50,000 fine if something's disclosed? The right answer accepted by regulators today is alignment with NIST's cybersecurity framework. National Institute of Standards. They run the National Vulnerability Database as well. So if we can align all of our processes with what NIST is saying we should do, how we bring in a device, how we inventory it, how we configure it on installation, how we use some kind of endpoint protection. All of those things can be documented and aligned with different aspects of cybersecurity. This is a class on this cybersecurity framework, so I'm not going too far into it. It's really dry, really quick. But important to know that this is how you go about awarding this. And if you can document in your single events. This is how we onboard this device. This is the IP and MAC address that we captured. This is the operating system setup we captured. This is the installation guide we use, how it's going to be configured when it's on our network. Then, should that device be the one that causes the disclosure of patient data, you can turn around and say, hey, I've got best practices. Stuff happens. There's from what I've been able to understand, there's no way to keep somebody who really wants to get into your system out. They decide, I'm going to hack that projector. Almost nothing you can do to stop them except turn it off. Almost nothing. So people can really get into you no matter what's going on. How do you avoid finding the site? I mentioned the 405D Cybersecurity Act. There was a pair of documents that came out in response to one of the Cybersecurity Act sections in 2015. And those documents were created by a task group that met regularly. My CISO actually used that. But the two documents allow you to say, hey, what is good cybersecurity like for a small hospital? We've got 80 heads. What will good look like? Here's a book. Good book it. Just all instructions. There's a book. 4 or 5 people. What if I've got a medium or a large hospital? 1,000 beds. And just stack them up. Well, there's a book for that too. So you got 2 books for hiccup. That is the 4 or 5D section. That allows you to know how to go about setting up a cybersecurity program for medical equipment. Should we be starting from scratch? Or need some, we're starting. Now what best practices do you do next step? Kind of cover some of this. The hiccup, joint security plan, both of those are published by Healthcare Sector Coordinating Council for Cybersecurity. So Health and Human Services has Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid say, you guys really need to have good outcomes. We're going to have auditing agencies come in. We're commissioned in, but we're going to send somebody in to audit you, make sure you got best practices going on, so that we can keep paying you Medicare, Medicaid. Those guys answer Health and Human Services. Everybody's happy. Well, who tells Health and Human Services how to do all this stuff? There's an advisory board that says this is what good cybersecurity is like, and it's these guys, the healthcare sector. They're always looking for more help. Write that one down. Then Greg Garcia runs it. Perfect. But he helped them publish the Joint Security Plan, which is cybersecurity for hospitals. The 405D hiccup. Cybersecurity for hospitals broken down by small hospital and medium one. Grab one of those books, thumb through it. It's terrific read. Can't sleep. Do it again. but they're also not documents that are 20 years old. Here's guidance on securing MS-DOS. This is stuff that's timely today. So that's a good one. You can also look at IEC 8001. Again, addresses a lot of the same materials, a little less approachable. It's not dedicated to healthcare. But good cybersecurity practices, maybe a little more on the manufacturer side, good cybersecurity practices. You should know what you got. Oh my gosh. Joint Commission wants you to know what you have. Well, if you're trying to network stuff, shouldn't you know what you have too? How do you figure out what you got in your hospital? Wander around, looking for things, fusion pumps, oh man, drug libraries, all kinds of stuff. How do you find all these things? What do we got? Well, when it comes in the door, you write down, thing A has these software things in it. No, you don't. How do you go back on the backside, catch up your collar? What do we got? There's a couple of vendors over here that'll help you figure that out. One of the tools that is commonly gaining acceptance is a thing called a passive network inventory tool, passive network detection. And they will install a computer on your network that just listens to the traffic, coming and going. Listens to all this traffic, all those patient files, all those DICOM headers, and it reads them. It says, oh, in this packet, it says machine number 3, this IP and MAC address is sending this patient information from point A to point B from a computer running these 2 or 3 pieces of software. Because those softwares all sign in those packets and get transferred. So they can put a computer on the network, just listen to stuff, and they can tell you, well, this is who's talking on your network. This is a list of all of your IPs, all of your MAC addresses. This is a list of the kind of communication coming and going. We think that only CTs communicate about this many images and about those and all these kind of things. We think the thing that's talking is even a CT. Very wicked, talented, but that can help you figure out what you got. Figuring out what you got is true. Also, if you're thinking about DICOM headers and all of the interesting things that you can, what if you were able to tell how many studies per hour a machine is doing? What if you were able to tell how much dose a piece of moving equipment is putting out? All that's also captured. So some of these passive network detection solutions can run a report that you can go give to some of your stakeholders, and they will think you are a Lord. Oh my God, you have all this great information. This is terrific. What do you mean? Why is your techs on third shift all just cook their patients with so much radiation that it's a wonder they walk out? You can see that. That's a cool report to be able to provide. Again, we're looking at business case, how to get this to the table. So knowing that there are tools that we need to have for cybersecurity, but knowing how else those little tools can be used. Again, another recap. Way to be relevant. So we have an inventory, but I can put an inventory of things in those devices. Where does all this come from? There are master device records that are created during construction. We load software, write it down. Every device ever built has a master device record. It's part of quality management, which is for the class. But master device records have a list of all of the software that's put in the machine. They can tell you, well, we know what you put in the machine. You've got Windows 7, Adobe 11, whatever else. So if you can get a software bill of materials from your manufacturer partner, gosh, you can do all this stuff. You can get the back what it looks like, and your CEO could call you up to watch the 6 minutes and no problems. Well, who's going to give you his SCOM? Well, there was just an executive order released that said in order to sell equipment to the federal government, VA, anybody, you have to provide an estimate. So every manufacturer is currently writing. They exist. We don't have those. We don't want to talk about. They're lying. Because if they want to sell stuff to the VA, they've got it. So now you just got to get in front of line. But since you're already providing this to the VA, can you have copies too? All cheap. Yeah, you can do that. You get an S-bomb, get you all this information, helps with your inventory. On the horizon, what do you do with all this cool stuff? Now the manufacturers are writing lists of what all software is in there, what are we doing? Kind of the next thing they want to do is say, all right, so there's a vulnerability. If you have a CD burner in your computer, it's hackable, man. You can make that a bootable drive, you can get in there, you can get all kinds of stuff, and oh, the sky is falling, or take a look. How many machines have CD-ROM? None. So what if they said, hey, there's vulnerability, but you can't exploit it. It's not exploitable vulnerability. It's CD-ROM. So yes, Windows, whatever, has this huge vulnerability around media drives. But if your machine doesn't have one, you can hit a whole vulnerability and round file it, because it doesn't apply to you. That's cool. So now that we're looking at what software is out there, what problems are that could exist, some manufacturers are starting to come up with a vulnerability exploitability document that they can send you. There's more things that have been published, problems with our software. Here's the VEX form. This guy's falling for the first one, and the other 17, not so much. So focus your efforts, because nobody has infinite FTEs. Focus your efforts on fixing this one. The other stuff, yeah, you got it. But that's the one your CEOs look like. VEX on the horizon. Not today. Probably not. Maybe next year. You hear a lot about that. You heard it here first. Building an inventory, passive network protection. What if somebody goes and buys? Have you seen those really cool wireless ultrasound probes that you can read the image on your cell phone? There's a lot of them out there. Bluetooth is super secure. No. These things don't even cost $5 grand. Most hospitals, $5 grand is that step off point for capital purchase. So if Nurse Jones, I love you so much. Why do you do this to me? Nurse Jones goes and buys one of these ultrasound probes that wirelessly connects to a cell phone. How do you know? It doesn't go through a capital purchase process. IT doesn't get to look at it and go, oh, it's got Bluetooth, turn it off, please. Please turn it on. Nobody knows. Nobody knows it's there. So you're trying to find things that nobody knows are there. You are trying to circle back to capture stuff that's been on your network for 20 years. Maybe it's a nuclear camera. Nuclear medicine hasn't changed a lot in 20 years. This is old cameras. This company's over here that fix old cameras. Stuff that we didn't capture all that data leads. And just wanting to know what's talking. God, what's talking on our network. All these kind of things we can find with passive network protection. And that allows you to start closing some of those gaps, building that more robust inventory, being able to deal with those questions when they come up. Have we got this? We need to be worried. Can you set up your CMMS to say, do we have this? I should be worried. Can you set up your CMMS to call the National Vulnerability Database, scrape it Sunday night, compare it to your list of S-bombs, look at all the software that you've got an idea of, and just send you an email Monday morning that says, oh my gosh, 16 assets have new vulnerabilities disclosed. Do you want to freak out? Yes, your CMS can do all this. It can be done electronically. You do not need to hire somebody to sit there and go. I'll try and read it. It's dry. It's like this. It's super dry. Self-deprecating. Vulnerability disclosures. What's a vulnerability disclosure? So we've got like thousand vendors. All of them say, well, we published it on our website. Who the heck has got time to go to 1,000 websites? Oh, there's a lot of them. Don't have time to go to 1,000 websites. But if you have that list of software entities, there's maybe 1,000 pieces of software. Maybe there's not. Maybe it's really not. But you can start to look at what software is out there, what's been disclosed about it, and if you really want to scare yourself and not sleep well, go to nvd.nis.gov and start typing in software you got on your home computer. Good, Brad. It's amazing how many vulnerabilities are disclosed that are out there, and they're rated. Some of them are a red 10. Oh my gosh, you still have this issue? What are you doing? Some of them are, yeah, it's an issue, but not many people have IP6 used, so probably not going to take. But learning about vulnerable data, learning about where we disclose their cybersecurity vulnerabilities allows you to say, hey, I want to partner with IT. I want to know where all that stuff in the CMDB, where it's looking at, where it's pointing to. How do I get that email in the morning that says, go patch Blair's phones? There's not another reason to patch Blair's phones. But this is a really powerful site. You should look for it. And you put all that together, you've got a list of components, you have a list of vulnerabilities and components. You know what's going on. You can get your CMS to send you an email one day. Out that. Then what do? You remediate it. How do we lessen the amount of risk? Call your risk office. Hey, how do we lessen risk? Well, turn it off. Yep. What if it's still functioning clinically? What if it's, my gosh, it was designed to do this thing in patient care, and it still doesn't better than anything else out there? There's a lot of things that are that way. There's a lot of stuff that's at the end of life that's that. So hey, we've got stuff that's vulnerable. We know there are vulnerabilities. We got to remediate it. Buy a new computer. Right? Well, they don't sell. Ultrasound. They don't sell. Can you build a fence around it? Put a firewall in front of it? Yeah. Can you put a digital firewall in front of it? Yeah. So instead of buying a lot of like little programmable firewalls and trying to manage that through the cloud, or even worse, you go to the site and you're looking at it, you go. One vendor has a locally programmable firewall. Oh my gosh, when things ever goes out, it's just this side of possible fix. But figuring out what you're going to do, you're going to take it off the network, turn it off? No, it still runs. I can't get my functions to take it off, it still runs. Can you isolate it a little bit? Yeah. Can you isolate it physically with a firewall, with a wherever? If your person lets you go? Yes. But you can also do it with network controllers. That gets back to corporate direction. Who does all this? Right? So it's a whole lot of work. Right? So some of it can be automated, but it's a whole lot of work. Well, you might need to have a cybersecurity and medical equipment specialist in your shop. Wow. Yeah. 25 shops and we'll hire someone like this. There might be a rush on these kind of people. What would you need to know? Well, you don't want just a straight up IT person. Because a lot of IT folks have different processes than engineering. And they like to fix it, and once it's fixed and running and the nurses are happy and the patient's cared for, okay, let's go to the paperwork. Let's get paperwork done. It might be 3 days later, it might be longer than 3 days, and somebody's taking your chair, reminding you, hey, leave it. IT and HTM do things different. IT is a lot of paperwork on the front end, and then execute. HTM tends to be the opposite of that last division. So you need somebody who can help bridge that, who can speak both languages, who can talk to engineers and say, show me this thing. Show me what we can do with it. But who also can go over to IT and say, all right, I'm going to spout off some IT gibberish, and you guys go, oh, that's terrific, thank you so much. You need somebody who can live in both worlds. It's got to be somebody that's able to be an advocate for cybersecurity. Oh my goodness. I can't believe we have 110 devices that all need to be replaced because they've got outdated software. You can't walk into those meetings and say, we need to just replace half of our 100,000 pieces of equipment because nobody's got the budget. So you can't be chicken. You're looking for a FTE or you're coaching someone on your team. No chicken. It's got to be somebody that's trusted by IT. They have to speak that language, all that jargon, all those processes. They got to be familiar. You got to understand it. You got to know white hat acronyms. They got to know what it takes to be a certified penetration tester. You got to know if I can take my device off the network during PMs and want to let you come update virus definitions. Maybe let you come and update your penetration testing architecture, run some tests on the machine. All that can be done while it's on PPM. You got to have somebody that's trusted and able to make that happen. They should be able to navigate your network. Cisco is the biggest one out there. There's lots of Cisco networks, lots of Cisco houses. But some other ones you might hear, talking to IT, Juniper, VMware, Streamroom, lots of them out there. Lots of different companies that build the switches in the closet. So they've all got their own user interface, that software, your person needs to be comfortable with. How do we isolate network traffic? That's it. And then if you're going to get a bunch of letters after a name on a business card, ITIL is a good one. SSD is a good one. Certified pen test, good one. But having someone in your shop who's able to bridge that gap, who you can lean into and say, hey, we're getting a new fleet of whatever. We need to configure them a certain way to address currently known problems. Yeah, dude. Make sure that when you're turning it on, you single login. Everybody has to have their own login. No shared logins, no kiosk mode for the screen, and you can just run it in emergency mode. Everybody has to log in. That allows you to track HIPAA data. That allows you to know who accessed each patient record. Everybody has to have their own. You got to have somebody that knows all, who can bring it together, who can work with it, who can speak. Clinical engineer, let's just face it, get it working, get that patient taken care of, get it straight for us. We can also speak IT and we have to plan our work and work plan. Get all this done. Have cybersecurity be your business strategy. The thing that helps you get to the table. The thing that allows you to deliver value to caregivers based on equipment usage, to allow you to keep your job because nobody locked you out, because they couldn't give you access to intellectual property because of cybersecurity. You have to have a lot of buy-in. And buy-in comes in the shape of maybe your chief information security officer, maybe HTM leadership has got to form that person, maybe the service line leaders that you take care of, board director, MD director, BD director, whoever. And manufacturers, they got to buy it, they got to be part of it. And they do. Cybersecurity is oddly one of the places where we're not natural competitors. Rising tide lifts all boats. Let's make it better. I'll find the answer. Let's publish it by paper about it. Let's all do this, because this works. Manufacturers don't actually want to compete with you on cybersecurity. They want to help you keep your patients safe. They want you to buy their equipment because it's the most secure stuff out there, and your patients will be safe. Everyone loves that. Let's partner with them. Call the cybersecurity office, not the sales guy. Call the cybersecurity office of that manufacturer, not field service, and they will help you. They will find these documents. They will disclose things to you. They will ask you to come give you feedback. Hey, we're going to design a new thing. What should we put in it to make it better for your patients? We'll partner with the manufacturer. When you do, they may want to let you use some patching because they just don't have enough folks to do it. Patch is available on our website. Download it, they'll put it on the machine, tag it. They may not. They may say the device is at end of life and support. There's no patch available. Microsoft may come out and say, oh my gosh, no, there is a patch available. We're not supporting XP. There's so many XP computers out there. We're going to custom write one patch to close this one and make it available. Does every manufacturer go back and find unsupported software patches and just talk to you? No. But they're willing to work with you if you can prove eligible, because they're held to quality management standards. They're held to 21 CFR. Most of them are ISO certified. So they've got quality management hanging over their head. They want to make sure if they give you the keys to the kingdom, here's the service key, go patch it, go forth and have fun, that they're not disclosing too much. They're not giving the keys to somebody who's going to do shoddy work. So having your own version of a quality management system, what does that look like? Oh, there's no class in that too, but you're probably most of you are already there. It's just not documented quite the right way, but most of you are probably very close. Just all the regulations we have as well. If you can do that, you can transfer the risk. You can say, I want a permanent license key. I know my machine is toast. It is so old. You guys have made parts for 5 years. I still run it because it still works for what I designed. It was designed to work as. It still takes care of that same patient population. It still does it cost effectively. So can I work on it? I can still buy parts. There's lots of parts companies over here. I can still find parts. Maybe I take off one tool and the other. Maybe I've got 1,000 of them. I take it in-house. But if I can repair the darn thing, let's transfer some of that risk from the manufacturer to me. But you got to have it buy it. If you do, all this starts to work. Business case. So it's supposed to be about a business case. So HTM is about cost avoidance. We're not really cost savings. We're not saving anything. We're just not spending stuff. That's cost avoidance. You can do a lot in the realm of cost avoidance as an in-house shop. You can probably save 50%, 150% of what you're going to charge for a full service, comprehensive service agreement. It's going to include cybersecurity. So looking at cost avoidance. Cybersecurity can be a cost avoidance, especially if we have $50,000 in fines for one patient file, and there's, who knows, 70,000, 100,000. How many patient files are out there? Lots. So keep going. So chicken little. So cybersecurity can be a cost avoidance. It can also help you figure out some of those things on the back end, but some of these tools we've been talking about to drive better outcomes to your department. Hey, do you know that you're only using 3 of these at night? You got 30 of them? These 3 break a lot. How about rotating between patients and spread out the use? Little things. Cost avoidance. Collaborate with the manufacturer. What if we can just put all this in our POs? What if we said, hey, we're going to buy something from you, but it's got to never get too old to have software that works? Can't quite there. You can get close. The same healthcare Sector Council is going to publish model contract language that you can copy and paste into all your POs. True story. This quarter, for New Year's. I just saw the last copy go across my desk before this was published. The model contract language for cybersecurity. You can look at when we're buying stuff, when we're thinking about being business partners, when we're thinking about saving money. What if we go on the front end? What if we bake it into the cake? What if we say your device has to be supportable? It has to have the ability to control all of the data. Data doesn't go offsite. Data doesn't go to some foreign nation that has the Amazon Web Services cloud base there. Let's have contract language that actually says, keep our data to ourselves. Keep your data to yourself. Seriously. Well, that's out there. It's going to be out there this quarter. Google it. Look it up. It'll be great. You give it purchasing folks. They'll go, wow, I wish we had this last year. We bought that thing. But you can have it going forward. Again, good guidance. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't go, what would be a great way to make sure that we don't get a device delivered within the last 30 days that it's software supported? Oh my gosh. This is all about right now. Sharing the risk back and forth between manufacturers. Manufacturers are in that group, put together model contract numbers. They help craft it. So they're all points on PO that they've agreed to. If you were in a little hospital in rural West Virginia, you're like, oh, they're never going to agree to this for me. Sure they will. They agreed to it with Mayo and a whole bunch of other folks. So they shouldn't for you too. All contracts. But share the risk and then transfer the risk from them to you so you can maintain your devices, you can patch them, you can at least update your virus definitions. If you have Trend Micro or SEP, whatever it is running on your device, you want it to be able to identify new malware as it comes out. Collaborate. Didn't collaborate with manufacturers. Show us who you collaborate with. Other healthcare organizations, right? What if there was a group of healthcare folks who wanted to share all this back and forth? And wanted to say, hey, we know this is an issue. Or we know this issue. Or, hey, there's a best practice. What if we all set up a guest network and kept our patients off our real network? What if there's all this stuff? What is best practice? Where do they get shared? Where do you hear about HI side? That's kind of where peer-to-peer intelligence sharing community. Your hospital is a member. You may not know it, but your hospital is a member. Call somebody in IT. Hey, how do I get on that mailing list? And they'll hook you up because you're already a member. I promise you. You're not. Become a member. I would bet. Really good one. Everybody here is. And be informed. Understand how attacks are happening. Understand when FBI comes out and says, we think that there's going to be a big attack this period of time for this reason, which is a holiday in some other country, and they've got a bunch of young people home bored on their computers. Weather's lousy. There's no reason, but there's one. You don't have to be taking a little, all the skies are falling. You don't have to keep your head in the sand either. You can kind of meet in the middle and just keep your ear to the train track, hear what's coming. This is a really good way to do that. Collaborate. Collaborate with other health organizations. Collaborate with vendors. Health vendors. Collaborate with some of these folks over here that don't really neatly fall into that bucket. Maybe they're selling software as a service. Or sell software. Cybersecurity is about collaboration. Rising tide lifts all boats. End of life. End of support and cloud. Right? So you bought it, it still works. So many things. You buy them and they still work. But it's end of life image support. Why was it end of life image support? Is it a marketing choice? We're going to start selling these things in orange because we found that orange you can charge 5% more. So we're end of lifing all of them, and we're making a marketing choice. Now they're going to be orange. Cool. Well, what if I don't want to get rid of mine? I don't care if it's orange. What if I think CR probably does as good an image as a DR plugin? Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's good enough for my rats. Do I need to get rid of everything that's end of life image support? Eventually, yes. The 3 hours. But how soon is eventually? Well, it might be a little further than get that notice on your desk. And how do you address it? Well, contractual. You're buying the machine. It should be in there. This thing is going to be in the support, end of life at some point. I'm going to want to keep supporting it. I want the option to if I want to. Maybe I won't. Maybe it's a piece of junk. Maybe it was always broken. But if it isn't, you love the darn thing, it's super expensive. There's some really expensive places. Maybe we put it in the contract up front so we can transfer that risk on over to the owner of the device. You guys can keep patching any virus. Maybe even software comes out with the patch. How do you get it? How do you want to do that? Well, you got to be trained. Nobody's going to let you work on their device if you're just Joe Schmo. Sorry, Joe. But you got to have some training. And whether it's recognized by your hospital or not, it needs to be trained to be recognized by who you're trying to get collaborative with. There are manufacturers that like RSTI training. Rock on. There are manufacturers who say it's our class or no class. They don't have no class. So transfer risk, they're going to want to know contractually when you bought it, you said you could. They're going to know that people handle the device. Know what the heck they're doing. They're not going to break it. And suddenly there's a lawsuit, and the lawsuit goes after the place with the deepest pockets. Big enough hospital, that might be you. Small hospital, that might be the person with the sticker on the side of that device. So they don't want to let anybody in that's not trained. You have to get some training. You got to have to be willing to do all this work. Update software, live patches. That people that want to do that, people want to prioritize that over fixing the door on the future problem. There are things that are broken. There are things that are broken. You can't tell. Support is expired. So you got to be able to be willing to take care of some of that. And the cost, right? There's a cost to everything. Maintaining a device on the network that isn't supported, you got to have that FTE. You got to have all that training. You have to buy it. You have to reach out to whoever supports your anti-malware. Collect those new virus definitions. You have to buy those too. There's lots and lots and lots of pieces. It takes to collaborate, but it's worth it. Because then you transfer the risk, you know. It's a business case. Again, this is about business. So, what if there's mandatory FCO? Whoever heard that? Yep, mandatory FCO. You have to apply this patch to your machine because it's going to make connector valves work better. But it's going to make them work better. Read that darn paperwork because often things will be shoehorned in there in that patch. Got nothing to do with connector valves. Instead, if you apply this patch, it's going to take away all level 5, 6, and 7 access. So anybody that used to have it, you're not going to have it in your service software. Not going to work. It's turning it off, protecting our intellectual property, being the rental estate. So read FCOs. You can decline them. Maybe You need to bring in your risk management team. Maybe you bring in a lot of risk management team. But you can decline MCS. You can decline update instructions. You can decline stuff that's going to actually adversely impact your ability to keep the product in service to help the patient. You can say no, that's actually not the best for my patients. Oh, rubber stamp here. Yep, we'll do that too. Read it, be engaged. Engagement scores, right? Don't refuse stuff just because it's Tuesday and you think it's a good idea. Make sure to reach out to your risk and compliance teams. Make sure that you operate in fact, will be the last person with a secret. Conclusion. Oh, well, I think that we work in a terrific career. Really, lots of opportunity to make it. I used to be in the Navy, run a nuclear reactor, and my job was to help kill people and break stuff. Literally, military is what you do, kill people and break them. Now I'm like, go to work and help save lives, fix things. It's entirely 180 degrees. It's the exact opposite of killing people and breaking stuff. It's so much easier. So like, we work in a great industry. It would stink if someone said you can't have your job because of cybersecurity. And they say that. So don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Learn about cybersecurity. Protect your own job. Learn about cybersecurity, protect your patients. What about cybersecurity to protect your budget? What about cybersecurity to provide value to your stakeholders with really awesome data? What about cybersecurity? Because I believe in the next 10 years, every HTM department will report up through IT. Being well versed will help you adjust. That's just a personal thing. Are there any questions, comments, concerns, things you want to? Josh might be talking too much. Shut up. Got a question.